Sup, Nerdmigos? I'm the Jive Talking Nerd, John Norgrove. We've got Wife here. This is another review Jive. Tonight we are reviewing The Midnight Gospel, which is a new animated series on Netflix. It, literally just came out.
Yep.
All right. It's starring Duncan Trussell, and it's
like an interview.
It's sort of like an interview podcasty show, but it has like illustrations about it, but the actors are like also acting and like saying words.
Yeah, it's like a little like an interview podcast crossed with what is it, Harmon Quest that does D&D and has the Harmon Quest. But like way psychedelic. And the illustration, the art is done by the creator of Adventure Time. Is that right? Or is the whole guy? Is the guy the whole thing?
I don't even know that the art is with any degree of absolute certainty. I think it is, but I'm not certain.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Either way, it is wild. It's very difficult to explain what it is, but we watched it all in one sitting yesterday, and it was a beautiful existential crisis that it brought on. It's
basically like five I don't know, the main guy's a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And has been in a bunch of stuff. Duncan Trussell, I think he's a stand-up comedian. It's like five people who sat down and decided to talk about like love and drugs.
Well,
and
not five
death.
people at the same time.
You know what? I can't guarantee that it wasn't at the same time because you heard other voices while it was happening. I think this was all at the same time.
I don't know. Yeah, well, they primarily interview one person per episode.
Plot of the show. All right. What's the plot of the show?
Clancy, the main character in the show, lives in a trailer park and has a world simulator that he like sticks his head into. It's very not safe for work.
Okay, well, that's
that
weird.
was just traffic.
That's down the hill. Okay. So several corrections. Clancy lives on a farm in a trailer. Very different thing.
He lives in a trailer.
Yes, he lives. You said in a trailer park.
Oh.
He lives on a farm in a trailer surrounded by other farms. It's a bunch of farms.
Okay.
Yeah. There's like a big red barn behind it and everything like that.
So specific.
It's a virtual world simulator. I wish I remember what the voice actor. I recognize the voice of the simulator.
It
sounded really familiar, but so the simulator is some degree of synthetic and organic. It simulates worlds, and it looks like a pear, kinda.
It's very not safe for work.
Yeah, it's very vagooble.
Very not safe for work. And our main character Clancy goes to these worlds and has like an adventure, basically. He chooses an avatar, shows up there, talks to something
interviews them for his space cast.
Interviews them for his space cast. So he is a space caster who does this thing. So it kind of like fits in. But that's really where like most of the plot devices of it end because of the nature of it.
Yeah.
Each episode has like a different theme about what it is that they're talking about. The person that they're interviewing, their specialty or whatever, and they also have wildly different animated settings. And not only are they different, but they very tenuously link to what it is that they're actually talking about. So you're not seeing like an animation of somebody sitting there and talking about something. Like stuff is happening, but it's wild and psychedelic.
It's very. Okay, so the plot that's happening in each story has a very direct connection to the theme by which each story, like each person is talking about in the interview, right?
Yeah.
So the guy, all right, let's do this. Let's do what we thought, and then we're gonna go into spoilers so we can talk more about each individual episode. So, I would give this 5 out of 5 mushrooms. If I could give it 10 out of 5 mushrooms, I would give it 10 out of 5 mushrooms. how many mushrooms would you give it?
Oh, I would definitely give it maximum number of mushrooms.
10 out of 5 mushrooms.
All the space simulators of mushrooms.
It's so good that I already want to rewatch it, like, within a week or so.
Yeah. Yeah. And we just finished watching it yesterday. Like, and we even rewatched 2 episodes kind of on accident today, and we want to rewatch it again.
Some stuff on Netflix is good.
It's fantastic.
Some stuff on Netflix is just not good. So, yeah, we've been on a Netflix adventure today. Because we had to keep the TV quite loud because there was chainsaws about as they were cutting trees down on our property. So, yeah, we super loved it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, and then come back. Spoilers, let's talk about each episode. All right. So the first episode is the zombie president episode.
Yep.
All right. Spoiler alert. Retroactive spoiler alert. Past tense spoiler alert.
I think you already said spoiler alert.
I know. Jonathan, don't forget spoiler alert.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. If I do it enough, maybe I'll catch it and actually put in the fleshy red thing. Maybe I won't. It depends on how lazy I want to be when I edit this tonight. Anyway, so the zombie president episode very clearly talked about the legalized drugs argument, right?
Yes.
Specifically,
yes,
it started with legalized pot, but it sort of evolved into the opioid epidemic here in the United States and really globally. Let's be honest, globally.
Yeah. And then it talked about psychedelics.
And that, like, is it better if it's legalized? And should it be legalized? And how does it affect people and their lives and all this kind of stuff? And it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was a very fascinating
phenomenal
discussion with good points put forward on each person's side for why they... for what they think about it. And it was actually a very neutral conversation, which was interesting because usually when you get to a charged topic like this, you get a lot of charged conversations, and this was really more of a factual and scientific and N=1 type of conversation about it. And paired with the animation, it was crazy because our avatar Clancy goes to this planet where there's zombies, and he lands and he talks to the president, and they go on all these crazy adventures while they're having this crazy deep conversation.
So I'm sorry that I was like off here. I'm trying to look at Wikipedia on my cell phone, and it is not great. Episode 1, I wanted to find out who's being interviewed in each episode.
Oh, it said Dr. Drew.
Episode 1 is interviewing Drew Pinsky.
Drew Pinsky,
yeah. We're going to go through each episode real quick. Like, I needed to find the list of episodes that I found earlier.
Yeah. This episode was great. There was a lot of things one way or the other that really resonated with me. And I really am excited to listen to it again when I've already kind of like seen it and feel like I can pay more attention to both the animation side and what they're talking about.
Because they're very disparate. There's this very, like, the characters inside of the cartoon are talking, and they're clearly the characters in there, and they're interacting with their reality. But it's very in line but disconnected from the things that they're saying, and people are having these conversations, and he's running around shooting zombies and
they're like getting into a hot air balloon,
getting into a hot air balloon and all this kind of stuff. But he's talking about like does he believe truly that this is that legalization of marijuana or any recreational drug would have a beneficial benefit to society, or would it be worse? Would it? How does it affect the opioid epidemic? How does the opioid epidemic affect it? And all these kind of things. So you have this like sort of like this disconnect between the episode and the animation that makes your first watch like a lot. There's a lot of stuff to take in, and it's really good. Like, it's a super good animation,
but it's not easy to process.
It's super good interview, but there's a lot, and I think that's because they're trying to say a lot. And they're saying a lot in as little time as humanly possible. And I think that's why that's like that. Yeah. And I mean, overall, it's fantastic. So go watch it. Yeah. But, okay, so the first one, legalize weed or drugs in general, opioid epidemic. All right, so the second episode is Hunters Without a Home, interviewing... the second one is Officers and Wolves, interviewing Anne Lamott and... oh, boy. Rogu Marcus.
Ragu Marcus?
Ragu Marcus.
I don't know. We're sorry, man.
Not the sauce, the person.
Yeah.
And this one talked a lot about death and the acceptance of death as an inevitability. And you know, there's a standout line in this episode where Anne Lamott was talking about, and she's like, you know what, I wish I could go back to being in my 20s or in my 30s and have this understanding and acceptance of death and how liberating it would be. Not because, like, you know, like, I know I'm gonna, you know, die in the future and I can live fearlessly or some childish thing like that, but just that, so that way she could, and the way she talked about it, and you know, my interpretation thereof and therein was that she's talking about, like, knowing a thing and accepting a thing and no longer having it hang above you as this sort of, like
a
my
black
aspect.
cloud.
It's that thing where it's like everybody knows that you're gonna die. You're not immortal. Probably.
That's what you think.
I mean, I'm running on that statistics. Maybe I'm immortal. So, no, like you're not immortal, and you're going to die, and that doesn't mean that you need to shelter yourself, and it doesn't mean that you need to go bananas because who cares? But it means that you don't need to. That fear shouldn't control you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just the same, even if it's not a fear that controls you, even if it's just a distant dark cloud that causes doubt or depression or sadness in the long run, and it's not just your death, right? It's also the death of your parents and the death of your friends and the death of your loved ones, and she talks about how her life has been so surrounded by death, and how that death is
how it's put
inevitable.
How it's
and
also
there's
how
no
it's
reason
put
to
in
be upset
perspective
about inevitables
for her to put into perspective for other people.
Yeah.
So because she's dealt with so much death as a person, she talks about how she's really been able to help people, like, understand it's not like the worst thing. Like, it's inevitable. Like, you know, there's no need to fear it. It's just like, you know, you need to turn to get home or whatever. It's a thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's good to plan for it, and it's good to think about it, but, you know, try not to be so, like, devastatingly
don't let it hold you down.
Yeah, don't let it hold you down.
But also don't think that you're immortal and you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Live in a place where you've accepted what's going to come, but you're not letting it control you or something to that extent. So, and that's a fantastic episode.
The artwork with that one was deer dogs. And like going through a factory.
Nightmare clown monsters.
Deer dogs and nightmare clown monsters.
It was so good. It was so good.
It was a lot to take in.
Yeah, it was so good. If you haven't seen it, but you have seen this episode, look up clown meat.
I had never seen this before. It was absurd.
Clown meat is like a bologna. It's like a tube of bologna, right? But there's like a clown face pressed it like there's like the meat is differentially colored, so it looks like a clown face when you slice it into slices. So the little clown slices.
It's like one of those cookies
that's what the
with
clown
like a Christmas
faces look
tree in the
like.
middle.
So
and you just slice it, and it's a Christmas tree all the way through, like that, but with bologna, and it's actually clown meat.
Well, and it looks like clowns. I mean, it's probably not made out of clowns, but since I don't technically know what bologna's made out of, maybe it's made out of clowns.
I don't know. Which one was the third episode?
Okay. So the third episode was called Hunters Without a Home, and it's Damien Eccles is the interview person on this one. I don't remember which episode this one is.
I don't either.
And
it's problematic that we're going through each episode
are awful.
because I certainly don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we're just gonna go through these, and I'm just gonna read these off. All right. So episode 4 was that's fine. Only the first 3 episodes have descriptions.
The first 2 episodes today, so we were like, "Oh, that's right. That's what they were."
And on Wikipedia, only the first 3 have descriptions. Listen, this is a rough website.
It's brand new, guys. The show is brand new.
So I'm just gonna go through the names. So Trudy Goodman, Jason Louv, David Nick Turn, Caitlin Dowdy, I don't know, and Deneen Fendig are the interviewers in this, or the interviewees. I guess, in this. And it's all absolutely fantastic. So, 3, Clancy travels to an underwater planet where he crosses paths with Daryl, a student of ceremonial magic and the path of enlightenment.
Oh.
So that was the one about enlightenment,
That's
which
the
was
one with the fish.
which is super good.
With the fish people. That
4
one was really good.
is a mishap sends Clancy to a medieval planet where he meets a knight on a mission to avenge her lover's murder. That one was really good.
Yeah, that one was really good. Wow.
One of my favorite episodes, the one with the knight.
Yeah.
That one was really, 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 really good. Yeah. 5 is Annihilation of Joy at a prison for stimulated beings suffering from existential dread. Clancy ponders reality as he watches an inmate die over and over again.
That one was actually my favorite one.
Yeah, that might be my favorite, and it's very like Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow, Groundhog Day.
In the interview, they're talking to the person. They're talking about the path of enlightenment and existential dread, and it talks a lot about, but not directly saying. It talks a lot about like reincarnation and kind of like the idea behind of closing that loop, and with each reincarnation of your soul, you know, what you do is you take it out and you examine the bad things and you examine the good things, and that puts you that much closer. And the visuals for this were actually incredibly straightforward with what it was they were talking about, which had not been what we had noticed so far. It usually took me about like a half of an episode to like link together what they were saying with what I was seeing. It was just so hard to pay attention. But it was really something, because it shows this being that just keeps being reincarnated over and over again, and you see the same path. It's like Groundhog Day and, you know, all those other ones. Yeah. And, you know,
it's very Edge of Tomorrow. He's getting murdered, and then every time he's trying to figure out how not to get murdered. And,
you know what? It's
and it
actually
explores
like
a lot of different.
It's
yeah,
like
Happy Death Days. Yeah. You remember Edge of Tomorrow, right? With Tom Cruise?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's also like that Moon movie where the guy's on the moon, but he dies all the time, and then he finds that field of his dead bodies on the moon.
Moon.
Oh, yeah.
The name of that movie is Moon.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot more of those movies than I thought about, but that's what the visuals are, and when they're talking about it, it really does link in with that. But that one, the way that the visuals, the way that it was edited, and the way that the really visuals interacted,
they did a good job with it.
With the interview was just like, it was so good.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
had me kind of misting up.
Yeah, that one was really good. So that was 5. So 6, Vulture with horror. When his simulator malfunctions, Clancy faces a real-world problems and then meets a meditation master. So this one
was also really good.
This one was really interesting, and it's got like some other characters in it, and you know, this is the one where his buddy gets turned inside out, exploded into a skeleton in the this fucking
one,
field of whatever.
Yeah, this one takes place more where he lives and less on another planet.
I really like the idea that all of these things are happening and that he's kind of like, he's just like, in general, he is as good at taking care of his virtual world simulator as you are at cleaning out your computer, a thing that I would bet you haven't done.
Yeah.
Right? Or trust me, I know. I will clean mine now.
Or your refrigerator.
And I've been talking about it. I actually just picked up air for it.
Or that closet in the bathroom that you never
and so
touched.
it's that thing where he's just pushing off, and you're seeing the ramifications. You're seeing it's a lot of cause and effect sort of a thing, but it also explores this world that he lives that's sort of like twisted space, and how these virtual world simulators
very Adventure Time where he lives.
Are a little bit more real than not. In general, the science fiction in this show is very, what's the difference between a virtual world and a real world? And the answer is nothing, right? The answer is a doorway, right? When he's in there, he's able to extract things from it, right? He specifically extracts shoes from these virtual worlds.
He always brings something back with him.
Well, he always brings back a pair of shoes.
Well, and most of the time he brings back something extra. The dog
and the bird and something extra are, in general, like, following him through. Yeah. But he always seems, because he has like a little shelf for his
he always brings back a pair of shoes. But
that's his collection.
Many times something else from that world comes with him. And the best one is the dog. I love that dog so much.
That pretty psychedelic flower was gangster. But that dog is not a dog. So, and that's from the first episode. Yeah. That was the president's dog.
That was the president's dog. At least I think it was. You never really know.
you never really know anything that's going on in the show, and that's fine. So episode 7 is Turtles of the Eclipse. Clancy falls into another world where he comes face to face with death, but like death itself, death, which is really, really good. And they kind of go through the like processing of it and the stages of it and all
like
that.
How people work with death. Not like talking about, like a little bit talking about morticians, but kind of like the story of, you know, why and how we deal with death now as modern humans, both on the physical side with the body and what happens with that, but also like on a mental side.
And a metaphysical side. How does it affect you? How does it change you? How does it manipulate you and things like that? It does a fantastic job.
And also, how can you take the process of death that is specifically of someone near to you, not yourself, whereas the other episodes have dealt with you, but how do you take that actual process of death and use that to move forward with your life and you know, not have it weigh such a heavy burden on you? And that one was also really really hard for me to listen to, because it's hard when you lose a family member who you're very close with, and you know, people say like, oh, it'll get better with time, it'll get better with time, and the thing is it doesn't get better with time. You just get better at hiding that hurt and that guilt and whatever else it is that you're like carrying along with you about why that person died. And it's hard to deal with as a person, no matter how long it's been since they've died. But this really offers some interesting insight into how to get past that, which I want to use in my own mind space to get past that myself.
It's very... The problem is that... So, side rant. Jonathan, over here, side rant. Soliloquy. Soliloquy time. Soliloquy time. But it's very... Watching that episode really made me kind of think about this in terms of sort of like functional metaphysical logic versus like the hard English way in which we speak about these things. And by that what I mean is like we use a term, right, like oh, you know, we need to get over it, or we need to accept it, or we need to do something like that. And in reality those are sort of like useless English sounds.
Yeah.
Right? It's like does time dull all things? Well, I mean, like, yeah, of course it does, right? But of course it does insofar as, like, tell me exactly what you had for lunch when you were 5 years old on April the 14th. You know, that's not a thing, right? You forget some things. You remember
probably hot dogs.
You forget some things.
I was really into hot dogs.
You remember
as a
some things,
and
you
it
change,
was the
best. And
I would eat them with my hands.
The thing is,
I used to like to eat the skin off around them, and then like
to make death
eat the hot dog
a big deal.
And I don't know that I could actually do that as an adult, because it's like a little too much now.
You know,
but I had bologna for lunch today, and it was fried. That was fantastic. Reminded me of when I was a kid. Second time today. Thought about eating hot dogs when I was 5.
There you go. 2 times. No, but it's in general, and you know, this is again my interpretation of it. But you don't need to strive to not make death a thing. You don't need to strive to accept or to defeat or to change or to whatever. What you need to strive to do is not let it hold you back.
Yeah.
Right? And I say this about a lot of things. All right? In general, everything is your fault. Right? And what I mean by that is that you are the possessor of your own reality. You are in charge of your own consciousness. You are the center of your own universe. Hell, technically in physics you are, kind of. So right?
You and your math.
So it's this thing where it's like, you know, if that thing is making you sad, then you need to work to not have it make you sad. All right? If that thing is making you happy, then you need to strive towards continuing to make yourself happy. And all of these things. And I think a lot of this show, and especially this episode, because of the way they talk about dealing with death, as well as the physical body parts of death. Like, what happens to a body? Why do we embalm them? Why do we do these things? Where's the history in that? You begin to realize that you have built, and we want to say society has built, and we want to say, but this is the thing, you're an intelligent person. You are processing data right now. You are listening to me talk. You have built barriers inside of you that are telling you things, and whether those things are limiting or not limiting, or whether those things are negative or positive, that's up to you, right? And of course, outside effects outside things affect you, and people affect you, and reality exists. I'm not saying that stuff isn't the thing, but in general, right, you are the one that allows a thing to dwell longer than not, right? And so often we focus on very specific shit, but then we ignore other shit. Right? So it's like looking at something and being sad about it, right? But not appreciating what value that may add, and or not remembering the good things that came before it, right? And especially when you're talking about death, it's that you have 20 years of memory and a single instance, a point in time where that changed, where the state changed on that. Right. Well, but and even in abrupt state changes, right? Not prepared state changes in the form of death, right? It's sort of that, like, do you dwell on that point as an absolution that draws you down, or do you focus on these past events, this overarching theme of greatness and success that can bring you up? And that can fill you with joy and with happiness, because and it is sad, and we've all lost people. Everybody has lost people, because we're people. People lose, but it's that, like, how do you handle it? How does it affect you? How does it affect you physically? Like do you have an open casket? And this is one of the things that they address. They talk about how people there's less of the open casket, and there's more of this distancing from death, and like, because I'm a Freemason here in Northern California, and so, like, I've had a great number of friends pass away, and inevitably these conversations come up. At funerals and wakes and celebrations of life and all the other terms for these. But it's that, like, where are you talking about? And you can tell there's a line in the sand, on the people who are coming up and being like, oh man, remember when so-and-so was doing this thing? That's great. Ha ha ha. Jokes, and we're, cheers and beers and whatever. And when somebody comes up and they're just like, man, I can't believe I heard about it on Tuesday and I was drinking coffee, and it's that, do you focus on the greater good, or do you focus on the singular downness? And they really address it. And in general, boy, I would love to go in depth on every single one of these episodes for bloody 30-minute episodes. So if you think this is a great idea, let's get crazy town
metaphysical.
Yeah, let's get fucking metaphysical up in here. I got opinions
maybe
about
we'll
everything.
do that anyway.
I got opinions about everything.
He does.
I'm very
it's
smart.
So exhausting.
I don't even try very hard. I'm very smart. Listen, this is the secret. Just read all the time. Why are you watching me right now? Read also. Do two.
I mean, but, like, keep watching.
Watch
all
this.
The way to the end.
Watch all of them. Listen.
Watch this every time.
Watch the next one. And then the next one. But make sure they're mine. Watch everything that's mine.
Or someone else you care about, and then watch it to the end.
Yeah.
What's the next episode?
Okay, so that was Turtles of the Eclipse. So the last episode is called Mouse of Silver. Clancy joins his mother on an emotional journey through the cycle of life, birth, and death. Okay, so this episode is really fantastic.
This was a really nice last episode.
It's such a great last episode, and it's like him and his mom, and it's like, you know, he shows up as a baby, and he like ages up as his mom ages up, and then his mom dies and gets reborn and whatever.
And then he has a baby,
crazy hippy dippy trippy thing is.
And then the baby grows up, and you get to watch them again. As the babies,
so you get to see him.
But they also go through like a
cosmic
birth, life, death, life, birth. You know, kind of cycle.
The connection.
In
all of it.
the way through.
You know?
To the dying of the sun, even. To the dying of our planet.
Yeah.
Within our sun.
It
was fascinating
so
to listen
profound.
to someone talk to their parent that way. Because it was a very...
Are you in the video? Hey, she's not in the videos anymore. You just get to look at my beautiful ass body. What's up? Yeah. Oh, no, wait a minute. You are here.
But am I really here?
That's dumb. Yeah, she is. Look, see, I touched her. You figured it out.
He got me, guys.
Uncle Touchy's puzzle
Anyway, that episode is him talking to his mom, and it was really interesting listening to someone talk to their parent in such a frank and really non-familial type of way. It was,
I mean, and they shared stories
but it
of
wasn't.
his childhood.
It wasn't like it wasn't warm, but it was like it was a little like talking to a biographer. Listen to a biographer tell you about your life. So it was very interesting to hear from the outside. Perspective shifting.
In general, what I take from this episode and what I got when I watched this episode was that if you aren't having these sort of frank conversations with your family members, especially your closest ones, your spouses, your parents, your children, then you're missing out on a whole cross section of communication, because you build up these ideas of what and who you are, of what your past is because of what you selectively remember and don't remember, and somebody else has that perspective. I feel like this show as a whole, and this episode most specifically, argue that introspection is the greatest gift that you as a conscious life form has. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I'm very, very pro introspection and analysis. I love like analytical thinking like that. And you know, listening to him, you know, his mom's talking about something profound and he's talking about something profound, and then something comes up and they immediately jump to some story about when he was a kid or something like that, or he's confused and his mom, you know, is like, no, it was like this, not like this, and he's like, oh yeah, okay. You know, it gives you that sort of clarity of thought. And really overall, I think that's what the point of this show is that I think this show is and for some reason, I fucking hate the term mindfulness. I think that it's because... He also
doesn't like the word aesthetic.
No, I don't. I'm gonna give you an answer on both of these.
He also doesn't like puns, so he's a monster.
No, I'm not.
I don't listen to this guy.
Puns are the lowest form of humor.
That's not true. They're the highest form of humor.
No,
because you have to understand the joke side of how that
You mean
word
because you have to think about two things?
And... Shut up. And what the general side of thing is, and recognize that it's funny. So you're thinking about
two things. Two things is really hard, guys. Don't worry. They're swill. Punch in the balls, funnier than a pun. Always will be. Always has been.
I don't know. It depends on the punch in the balls.
Doesn't matter.
Some puns
All
are
punches
really
in the balls.
Good.
No puns
I really
are
like
good.
fish puns. Puns about fish. Yeah. I like fish puns.
That's why you don't do
Hit me up with your best fish puns. What's up? We'll go toe to toe.
No, I think that the show
a pun
is
battle.
You can even come with a pun in there.
I don't need to. It's a pun battle.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
What, are you gonna come up with one?
You don't want to play this game, Julie.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm very smart. I keep saying that. Nobody listens to me. Or I'm not very smart, but I'm quite large. So that works. It's the same thing, right? Intelligence, strength, size, charisma. It's all a lie.
Oh boy.
Yeah. We're just all, you know, whatever, humans plugged into the machine. We've all seen The Matrix. We know the fucking truth, guys. They tried to tell us in the 90s.
And in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I don't actually know when The Matrix came out, so that's not important.
I think the first one came out in like 1999.
I was gonna say 98, so yeah, that's probably
I think it was
right.
99.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matrix 2 and 3 don't count. It's only the original Matrix and the Animatrix.
Yeah, because Matrix
2
2
and 3 are shit.
awful.
Animatrix is better than the original. Regular Matrix is super good.
Worst.
No, I think that my issue with these words, mindfulness and all of these, is that it's people trying to label, even saying something like introspection, right? It sounds like a task, but it's not a task. It's an adventure, and you need to participate in it, and it's an active thing. And my problem with shit like mindfulness is that mindfulness has replaced somebody going on the path of enlightenment and traveling down the path of meditation and meditative states and thoughts and understanding and thinking and feeling and learning and growing. And I think that fucking aesthetic has replaced the way that we talk about art and the way that we talk about what we the beauty that we surround ourselves with and things like that. And I think the problem is, in general, for everything, is that we try to label and group and segregate and differentiate. And I mean, like, I'm a scientist, right? I love all the little groups. I love picoseconds and all the little shits, right? Because of the science. But when you're exploring something as like cosmically mauve as the human brain, and consciousness, I think that those labels inhibit creativity and inhibit our ability to understand things, because your mindfulness and my mindfulness could be completely different. And also, especially addressing what's happening now, you've seen all these fucking stupid mindfulness
because right
apps.
now, for you future viewers, is plague time.
Oh yeah, it's apocalypse.
Yeah.
No, but you're seeing like I was looking for a meditation app. This was like 3 months ago?
Yeah.
I'm looking for a fucking meditation app. This is fairly straightforward, right? I'm looking for a meditation app because the one that I used to use is no longer available because time is awful. And everything that I'm finding is this fucking mindfulness shit. Just endless mindfulness shit. Right? And like, I respect what the people are doing, and I understand what they're doing, and I get it, but it's 100% different than the way that I meditate. And it's not at all the way that I was taught to meditate. And it's so directed, and like, it feels
I feel
so
like a
fucking
lot of the
corporate-y.
reason why that stuff
And
happens
I think it's because people don't know.
Well, no, I think it's partially because people don't know, but there really isn't value placed on silence and stillness. We're always, when you talk to people, except for right now in plague time, but when you normally talk to people, and you're like, oh, have you been? And they're like, good. Busy. Everybody's so busy all the time. You're doing so many things. And I am the most guilty person about this. For those of you that are close to me, you're going to chuckle right now because you know.
Yeah.
But like, I think that there isn't value placed on that, but there is value placed on being busy and going from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. And to multitask is the most important thing, and you have to be productive, and everybody needs a side hustle.
You gotta complete
and
goals.
you gotta complete goals, and you gotta do all this stuff, and then there's like Pinterest stuff that you want to do, and there's all of this stuff. You just have to be busy and
action.
Quiet.
The problem isn't. The problem is that you guys do too many fucking things. Do less things. Relax. Right? But it's the idea that there's only two solutions. Right? I think that might be the thing. Is that mindfulness is so directed and so focused. Modern mindfulness, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. The apps and shit. Right? Because some people have a different interpretation, a different understanding of mindfulness, and the path that you're on is perfectly fine. But the problem is that it's that, like, I do all these things. You have things to do. Every time you think of a goal and you're like, I need to plant this plant. Like, that's great, and you do need to plant this plant, and that goal does need to be attained. But at the same time, you're wasting so much only focusing on planting it. And you're not thinking about preparing the soil, and you're not thinking about... So we lose the art in motion by trying to attain a goal of a perfectly framed photo. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, okay. maybe it doesn't. What the fuck ever, man. But it's that we want these labels, and we want these terms, and we want this solution, and you want the pill, and you want the app, and you want this thing that's packaged, and it's in a little box, and it looks good, and it's fantastic, but that's not real, because a grand part of it is the acceptance that the shit is not permanent, and it changes, and it shifts, and in the grand scheme of things, you know, you're remembered for your actions, but you have no control of which actions you're remembered for. And you know, you're loved by your family, but you have no control over specifically how they love you. And it's that acceptance of both, right? Part of the acceptance of death is the acceptance of life, right? And I think the problem with mindfulness is that part of the acceptance of calm is the understanding that calm exists in every action, right? Calm is the moments between breaths, the moments between heartbeats, the lulls between things, but it's also the moment that thing hits, right? There's a meditative state towards chaos and panic and fear and love and hate and joy and all of these things. And to simply focus on one of them belittles you the power of understanding all of them. And I think that to me, that's the main problem, is that mindfulness is focused. And I don't like that. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. I'm just a fat asshole in some redwood trees. So what the fuck do I know? Right? But that's where my issue there lies, you know? And so this show is like so profoundly deep that it's made me think about a lot of these things, and it makes me want to rewatch it. And you know, and I mean, like I could turn
really,
the camera around and show you 12 projects,
time
you know,
with
in 180
the
degree
ideas.
arc.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff.
We have a lot of projects, and I do a lot of things, but it's not stressing. It's not worrying. It's accepting the fact that technically you can't multitask. That's not real. You know, like you kind of can, but you kind of can't. So it's not real. But it's that thing where it's just like, you know what? Sometimes you got a task that needs to be accomplished and it's important, but something that's slightly more important but less goal oriented, like sitting down and watching a movie with your kids, is more important. It reminds me of those fucking First 5 California commercials. If you're not from California, let me explain these to you. It's a commercial that says, hey, you have a child. You should like read to them or sing a song or play with them and spend time with them before the age of 5 when they're developing. Which every time I see that commercial, to me, it reminds me that there are people who don't know they should do this. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that people are wrong or right. Like, that's your life and they're your children. I'm not going to fucking tell you what to do. Right? But it's the First 5 California commercials are this like point in time where every time you see one, you're reminded that like somebody must, or it's a waste of taxpayers' dollars, but somebody must watch this and be like, oh yeah,
I should probably
and then
spend time
pick up
with
a Dr. Seuss book and read to their kid, and it's like, what? Who the fuck? What the fuck's going on with this shit? You know? And there's always a solution. You don't need to do what they say. If you can't sing, then don't sing with your kids. That's fine.
Or sing badly and make it a memory.
You know, if you know, there's always solutions. If you're too busy, then you know what? Maybe you do less during the week and you bury out time in the weekend. There's always a solution, but it's the point of this fucking show. It's all of this. It's like you want that introspection. You need to think like that thing that you're really stressed about that needs to get taken care of right here, right now. Is it actually that important? And if it is, then do it, and that's fine. But understand why you're doing it and how you're doing it and what it affects so you can move forwards, as opposed to just running headlong into this, and then as soon as this is done, running headlong into the next task, and before you know it, so much time has passed that you've missed the opportunity for those educational moments. I mean, let me tell you what, this show's a fucking acid trip, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I mean, watch it.
Watch it.
watch it. And
Let
then
us know
maybe
what you
watch
think.
it again. Word of warning, it
Watch it
is
like 3 times.
not appropriate for children
Oh, yeah,
because
no, not
of
at all.
visuals and content.
Yeah,
Unless
it's
you
a
want to
little
have
heavy for
really
kids. It's a little heavy for
uncomfortable
kids.
conversation with your kids. Although if you have older kids, like a teenager, they could probably handle
it's
it.
probably great for a teenager.
Yeah. And if you guys haven't seen Adventure Time, watch that too, because Adventure Time, while is not as inducing of a metaphysical crisis, is still fantastic and does make you think about a lot of questions like this too, which is really interesting considering it is a kids cartoon.
And that one is kid specific. Yeah.
Yeah.
So either way. Like this video, comment below, tell us what you thought.
Yep.
Tell us what you think about any of the things that I've said. Share this video, let other people know. Subscribe to this channel, ring the little bell, watch all of our videos, watch more of our videos. Put them on in the background. Listen to my fat ass talk. It's fun.
That's what I do all day. It's great.
It's fun.
In fact, I signed on to it for life.
Fun. No. But again, I've been John Norgrove. This has been Wife. This was Review Jive. We watched Midnight Gospel on Netflix. Watch it.
There's about 5 or 6 episodes.
8 episodes.
Eight
There's 8
episodes.
episodes.
They're about 26 minutes or so long. So
45
you can,
minutes long. I have no clue how long they are.
I think
I'm just gonna assume
they're like
you're
a half
wrong.
hour. So you can watch it pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, it was fast. We tore through it super quick. So
Yeah.
again, like, comment, share, subscribe. John, Julie, Review, Midnight Gospel. Cheers.